Are we living or are we just surviving? This isn't even like a negative video, it's more of a question, you know? Are we really living or are we just surviving? You know? And I'm not mad at which the answer is. I believe it is somewhat of both, but I believe it's mostly just surviving. I wake up every day, do work and stuff, eat, go to sleep, but it almost feels like I'm just battling myself, you know? I have to get up, my body hurts, even though I don't want to. Do things around the house, run errands, get up for work. Don't get me started with work. But I don't know. I just don't see us really living. I see us surviving. And even for the rich people that have life easier, I still kind of feel like they're just surviving. Well, maybe not surviving, but I don't know if they're really living, quote unquote, you know? I mean, sure, we'd love to wake up, maybe take a trip, go to Disneyland or something with a loved one, or have, a family and stuff. But at the end of the day, I still think we're surviving. I've been on many trips. I've traveled a lot of places, but at the same time, every time I go on vacation, it's always exhausting. Because you're trying to bunch everything, correctly, and you want to get out to every place before you leave, and it just almost becomes work. Granted, there are some pretty cool events. You have some memories that you can enjoy it with, but it just seems like everything is a fight, everything is trying to live, but exerting so much energy. And then once you get back from a vacation, it's almost like you need a vacation from your vacation. So I just don't get this place, but I have a strong feeling that we're just surviving. Even if you're going to, quote unquote, let's say, like, I don't know, buy some jewelry or a Gucci store or something luxury. Maybe you're going to, like, well, I was gonna say Red Lobster, but that's not really I guess it depends. Any place could be luxury depending on what you're kind of doing and spending. But you still gotta drive through traffic, you know? You still gotta kind of risk your life, because you gotta go out in public, traffic, gas, and dealing with pollution and all this stuff. So you're still on the spectrum of surviving. You're just surviving a little bit easier. I think that's a better way to put it. You're surviving a little bit easier. But I just don't see it. And people think because you're rich, your life is so much better, but it could be. It could be at first, because you get a bunch of money, you don't have to work anymore. Oh my God. Your weight is lifted off your shoulders, right? Because if $1 million was put in your account, you'd be able to do something very good. But what happens 6 months, a year down the line? Because at this point, you kind of gotten used to being rich, right? And you've done everything in your mind you thought was important. And now you're just kind of searching for more stuff to do. But then it just seems like less and less stuff is more interesting. I think that's something they don't talk about. But once you've hit the point where you've done everything you felt like you wanted to do, that is kind of a crossroads type incident, because either you're going to search more for stuff to make you happy and stuff like that, or you're going to lean into something not good, like overspending. Maybe you're now big into drugs because you don't have anything else, so you just kind of start taking the drug route, or maybe what got you rich was your pain, but then you realize there still is no cure for that, and then you search for drugs. I don't know. Or you do plastic surgery. There's a lot of things that people do once they get money that ruins their lives. So you're not always just living when you're rich. Even the people, who buy lottery tickets, right? And they end up winning. And then their life goes completely downhill. It makes you wonder, maybe we should be finding a sweet spot, I suppose, but it feels like there is no sweet spot, only extremes. Either your life really sucks, or your life is really great on paper, and it still sucks. I think to myself, if I had $100,000 in my bank account, just planted there, to pay off my debts, kind of move some stuff around, I don't know how long that happiness would last. It would honestly be a cool experiment, because I would like to see how long it would take me before I just be like, all right, this is BS. I believe it wouldn't take too long, because really, it's not so much that I owe the most money, but it's set up in a way where it just hinders me, So it's a weird in the middle. I'm not broke, but I'm also not rich. And yes, I still have cryptocurrency. Actually, tons, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, but it's unfortunate that nothing ever panned out, because if it had just panned out, I could have been more free than I am now, I guess that's part of it. Once cryptocurrency takes off again, I'll have the money to be free. But at this point, by that time, I might already be free because I'm paying off my debts, I just don't, I don't know. I'm in a very odd spot where I'm still saving money, but I'm also not saving money, because this is the type of individual I am. I'm always forward pressing, right? So if I have extra money, I'm going to do something with that money right there. And that's not always a good thing, but what I mean by that is sometimes I'll have extra money and I'll go to the dollar store and I'll see a really good deal. Like, let's say I saw these detergents that were only $1. I ended up buying like 5 of them, because I know that in the future that's not going to be $1. So I might as well capitalize now, and then I won't have to buy it in the future. That's kind of the stuff I do. So I feel like I spend a lot of money, but I also don't, because I get things when they're cheaper when I have the opportunity. Just like I have tons of vitamins and tons of stuff like that, tons of lotion, tons of just things to improve my life. Like I have a lot of body wash, stuff like that. I haven't stockpiled eye drops. That might be pretty good too. Those are nice. But I do a lot of medicine and stuff like that, because I know at some point your health will be expensive, And I mean, it is now, but I always try to think forward ahead. I'm always buying more tissue, more, I don't really, I stockpile food a little bit, but not too much. But I like to think it helps, so that when times are rough, I'll have it, and I won't have to go without, and I can kind of weather the storm. Because I literally bought like 12 bottles of lotion. No diddy, but I did this because my skin gets irritated quite fast and I'm working out in the sun. I've kind of already taken care of that, but I just wanted to be sure, because bottles of lotion cost $3-4, a lot of the times, and I found it for $1. I bought like 12 of them. That just saves me in the future. Then I won't have to go out and do that. So I guess with my money, I always try to find ways to save energy, I guess. Doesn't always work, but that's my way of trying to live. It's by kind of taking back my time. But I still think at the end of the day, this is how I think of it. If I feel like I'm just surviving, then most people have to be surviving. Not saying I'm doing better than most people. I don't know. I can't even tell anymore. I don't think so. Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. But if I feel like I'm surviving, I feel like most people have to be surviving, because I have a lot of luxury, but at the same time, I'm still just an average person, you know? But I know people are not as healthy as I am. Now, some days I'm not as healthy. I kind of have a crap diet sometimes, I'll be honest. But with the medicine that I take, the way I take care of my body, I feel like I'm at least a little bit better off than the average person. But if I still feel like I'm surviving, I feel like most people have to be surviving, because without medicine and proper body care, dude, that's a lot of it. You know, and they have a lot of responsibility. I don't have kids. I don't have any dependents right now. So I'm just trying to figure out, how the hell are we still saying, like, pretending? Dude, my body hurts, man. I had a great sleep. Well, I slept a little bit longer than I usually, but I still feel like shit. And I'm taking medicine, and I'm making sure my skin's right. I take care of myself, but I still feel like crap. How is this possible? And then I'm like, dude, this is just rigged, man. So you put in the comments, are we just living? Or are we living? Or are we just surviving? You know, that's a question I need to answer too. But yeah, I'll see you guys next video, man.